Hello. We are from Ukraine. The Ministry of Defense told how Balaklia was freed. Specially created Ukrainian military groups participated in the liberation of Balaklia from the Russian occupation. This was announced by Deputy Minister of Defense Hanna Maliar during a visit to the deoccupied cities of the Kharkiv region on September 13. According to her, units of the Special Operations Forces of the Main Intelligence Directorate of the Ministry of Defense and the ground forces participated in the liberation of Balaklia. Now the operation continues until the complete liberation of Kharkiv region, said Maliar. The Deputy Minister of Defense called the liberation of Balaklia a unique operation, carried out in conditions where the Russian army was superior in terms of weapons and personnel. The reason for the success of the Ukrainian army lies in two things. In motivation, we wage a just war and we protect our land. And the second is intellectual planning. It is very important to properly plan any military operation, Hanna Maliar emphasized. The deputy minister added that during the counterattack of the Ukrainian army, the Russians resorted to the same tactics as during the escape from populated areas of the Kiev region. They announced that they were changing the plan of their operation, and during the retreat they abandoned everything, including vehicles and weapons. In addition, while retreating, the Russian army, like near Kiev, mined territories and blew up bridges. It will be recalled that communication and a mobile post office appeared in the liberated Balaklia. Also, more than 42 tons of products and more than 5,000 liters of drinks were sent to the community. Kharkiv. Chronicles. The armed forces liberated more than 300 settlements in Kharkiv region from the occupiers. Last week, the residents of the Kharkiv region received the long-awaited news: the region began to be cleared of the occupiers. The armed forces returned Ukrainian power to more than 300 settlements in the Kharkiv region. Balaklia became the first city liberated from the Russian invaders. On Thursday, September 8, the President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, announced that the armed forces of Ukraine liberated and took control of the town of Balaklia, Kharkiv region. Local residents met our defenders with tears of happiness in their eyes, offering them various delicacies. Thanks to the 14th Separate Mechanized Brigade named after Prince Roman the Great, the Ukrainian flag returned to the village of Chkalovsky, Chugyev district. Soldiers of the 113th Separate Territorial Defense Brigade also liberated the villages of Vasilenkov of the Shevchenkov community of the Kupian district and Artemivka of the Pechenez community of the Chugyev district. In general, as Volodymyr Zelensky said, as of September 9, the armed forces of Ukraine liberated and took control of more than 30 settlements in the Kharkiv region. The number of liberated territories is increasing every day. However, we cannot give a complete list of them yet, because at the time of the publication of the newspaper, the cleanup was still going on there. The liberated communities were visited by the head of Kharkiv OVA Oleg Senegibov, who talked with local residents. People, without exaggeration, met our soldiers with tears in their eyes. 6 months in occupation. The Russians left broken infrastructure and houses, many trophies and piles of garbage. Residents, of course, need help. Most villages do not have electricity or gas. In the near future, we will restore them and bring in humanitarian aid. But the first thing is cleaning and demining. The police and emergency services are already working on the ground. For those who left, we do not recommend returning until the relevant orders of the military, Oleg Senegibov said. On September 11, the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine announced that Ukrainian units had entered Kupiansk and were liberating settlements in the Kupiansk and Izium districts of the region. On the same day, the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Russian Federation Valery Zaluzhnyi shared photos of captured and destroyed ammunition and military equipment of the Russian Federation. This was the result of the work of several units of the armed forces, which liberated the villages of Bayrak, Nova Huzarivka, Shurivka and Vilkovatka. Russian fortified areas were located near these settlements. After their deoccupation, the Ukrainian defenders managed to launch a counteroffensive on Balaklia, Izium, and Kupiansk. A day later, the head of the office of the President of Ukraine Andriy Yermak published a video in which a soldier of the 14th Separate Mechanized Brigade named after Prince Roman the Great reported that his company reached the border with Russia in the Kharkiv region and occupied the village of Ternova. On the morning of September 13, the State Border Service of Ukraine published a video entitled Vovchansk at Home, in which DPSU soldiers remove and destroy Russian paraphernalia and propaganda in the city of Vovchansk. Already in the evening of the same day, the General Staff published the story of the Ukrainian paratroopers, how they liberated the city of Izium and forced the Russian military to abandon their equipment, finish off their wounded and flee through the forests. Also, the Deputy Minister of Defense of Ukraine, Hanna Maliar, during the live broadcast of the National Telethon, stated that as a result of successful counterattacks, the Ukrainian army liberated 3,800 square kilometers of the territory of the Kharkiv region and more than 300 settlements from September 6 to 13. According to her, about 150,000 Ukrainian citizens were freed from the occupation by the armed forces of Ukraine in this way. When this video was uploaded, sources say that up to 8,000 square kilometers were freed from Russian occupiers in Ukraine. Thank you for watching. Glory to Ukraine. Glory to Ukrainian defenders.